Hi, in previous lecture we discussed how to convert epsilon NFA to NFA. Now we'll discuss how to convert epsilon NFA to DFA. Let M equal to Q sigma del Q0 F be epsilon NFA and M dash equal to Q dash sigma del dash Q0 dash F dash is a equivalent DFA. Then what are the changes in initial state? Initial state of DFA will be E closure of initial state of epsilon NFA. So Q0 dash will be E closure of Q0. Q0 is the initial state of epsilon NFA and Q0 dash is the initial state of equivalent DFA. Then final state, every subset which contain F is a final state in DFA. It is similar to NFA DFA conversion, okay, subset construction process. So every subset which contain F is final state in DFA. Construction of transaction del dash QX will be E closure del QX. So first find the transaction, then find the E closure. In epsilon NFA to NFA, we first find E closure, then transaction, then again E closure. But here first find the transaction, then E closure. Start construction of del dash in initial state, then continue for every new state. First we'll do for initial state, then we'll continue for every new state, like subset construction. So let's do with the example. This is a epsilon NFA. Now I'll convert to DFA. What are E closure of this? E closure of Q0 will be Q0 and Q1. State itself and by epsilon to which state it can go. So Q0 and Q1. And E closure of Q1 will be Q1. Now find the equivalent DFA for this. So what will be initial state? Initial state will be the E closure of Q0. Here E closure of Q0 is Q0 Q1. So initial state will be Q0 Q1 and that contain the final state Q1. So that's why that will also be final state. Initial state will be Q0 Q1 and that also be final state. Then by 0 where it is go? First find the transaction from Q0 by 0 it go to Q0, from Q1 by 0 no transaction. So it is Q0. We found the transaction is Q0, then E closure of Q0, that is Q0 Q1. So here it is Q0 Q1. Then we'll find the one transaction from Q0 by 1, no transaction. From Q1 by 1, it go to Q1. And then we'll find E closure of Q1, so that is Q1. Now we'll find for Q1, from Q1 by 0, there is no transaction, so it will go to dead state. Then from Q1 by 1 it go to Q1 and E closure of Q1 is Q1. Then another new state occurred, that is the dead state. For dead state we will do from dead state by 0 it will go to dead state and by 1 it will go to dead state. Now equivalent DFA transaction table is constructed. We will do the transaction diagram. From Q01 by 0 it will go to self loop, by 1 it will go to Q1. Then from Q1 by 0 it will go to dead state and by 1 it will go to self loop. Then from dead state there will be self loop of 0 1. Now this is the equivalent DFA of this epsilon NFA. The language is 0 star 1 star, any number of 0 can be followed by any number of 1. If you remember, for the same example I did epsilon NFA, then I converted to NFA, then I converted to DFA. Here is just mark of when we converted NFA to DFA there are 4 states. There was one more state, that was Q0. When you are converting NFA to DFA, then initial state will be same. But when we convert epsilon NFA to DFA, we got 3 states and this is the minimized one. Okay, this is not the minimized, this is the minimized one. So you are getting minimized DFA by converting epsilon NFA to DFA rather than converting epsilon NFA to NFA, then NFA to DFA. So if you want to find the DFA directly, you can convert epsilon NFA to DFA. Let's do another example. This is epsilon NFA. I'll convert to DFA directly without transaction table, just from the transaction diagram. Now find the E closure. E closure of Q0 will be Q0 itself. Then from Q0 by epsilon it go to Q1. So it will be Q0 Q1. Then E closure of Q1 itself, there is no epsilon transaction. E closure of Q2 itself, and by epsilon it go to Q3. So Q2 Q3. E closure of Q3 will be Q3 only. There is no epsilon transaction. So E closure of Q3 will be Q3. Now what will be initial state? Initial state will be E closure of Q0. E closure of Q0 is Q0 Q1. So initial state will be Q0 Q1. Now we'll find from this 0 transaction. From Q0 by 0 it go to Q0, and from Q1 by 0 it go to Q2. So we got Q0 and Q2 state. Now E closure of Q0 and Q2. E closure of Q0 is Q0 Q1 and E closure of Q2 is Q2 Q3. So from Q01 by 0 it will go to Q0 Q1 Q2 Q3. Now by 1 where it will go. From Q0 by 1 there is no transaction. From Q1 it will just go to Q1. Now E closure of Q1 is Q1. So from Q01 by 1 it will go to Q1. Now I'll find for Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. Now I'll find for this state. So from this state by 0 where it will go? From Q0 by 0 it will go to Q0. From Q1 by 0 it will go to Q2. And from Q2 0 there is no transaction. From Q3 by 0 it will go to Q1. Now we got Q0, Q1 and Q2. E closure of Q0 is Q0 Q1. E closure of Q1 is Q1. E closure of Q2 is Q2 Q3. So we got Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. We got all these states, so there will be a self loop of 0. Now by 1 where it go? From Q0 by 1 there is no transaction. From Q1 by 1 it go to Q1 state. From Q2 by 1 it go to Q2 state. From Q3 by 1 it go to Q3 state. So we got Q1, Q2, Q3. Then their E closure will be Q1, then Q2, Q3, then here is Q3. So it will be Q1, Q2, Q3. We'll make a new state Q1, Q2, Q3, and by 1 it will go to that state. From Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, from Q1 by 0 it go to Q2. Then from Q2 by 0 there is no transaction. From Q3 by 0 it go to Q1. So we got Q1 and Q2, Q1 and Q2. Their Q1 E closure is Q1, Q2 E closure is Q2, Q3. So from Q1 to 3 by 0 it will go to Q1 to 3. Then by 1 where it go? From Q1 by 1 it go to self loop. From Q2 by 1 it go to self loop. From Q3 by 1 it go to self loop. We got Q1, Q2, Q3. And Q1 E closure is Q1, Q2 E closure is Q2, Q3, and Q3 E closure is Q3. So by 1 it is going to Q1, Q2, Q3. So we'll just add 1 in the self loop. Now we'll do for Q1. From Q1 by 0 it go to Q2, and E closure of Q2 is Q2, Q3. So from Q1 by 0 it will go to Q2, Q3. Now from Q1 by 1 it is a self loop, and Q1 E closure is Q1. Just add a self loop of 1. Now we'll do for Q2, Q3. From Q2 by 0 there is no transaction. From Q3 by 0 it go to Q1, and Q1 E closure is Q1. So from Q2 3 by 0 it will go to Q1 state, and by 1 from Q2 by 1 it is a self loop. From Q3 by 1 it is a self loop. We got Q2 Q3. Q2 E closure is Q2 3, and Q3 E closure is Q3. So by 1 it will be a self loop. Now this is the DFA. We convert from this. For finding transaction, first find the transaction, then find the E closure, and continue for every new state. It's like subset construction plus E closure. If any doubt, just ask me in comment. Thank you.